Hi everyone, I'm Laura from ReImagined Home Decor. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be working on some small home decor projects today. I'm going to be using some really amazing DIY products that are available in the marketplace. If this is the type of content that you're interested in, I invite you to stick around. Let's get started. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, I am going to be working with some really cool DIY products throughout this video. But I wanted to mention that I'm part of a creative group called Sonnet's Creative Network, which was started by Sonnet from Sonnet's Garden Blooms. And for those of you that do not know Sonnet, I invite you to check out her YouTube channel. She is really a force and leader in the DIY and upcycling community. And Sonnet has created a monthly subscription box, and she has invited her network group to showcase some of the items. So this picture here are some of the items that I created using the items in her September's Makers box. So let's jump right in. Okay, so this is the first piece from the Maker's Box that we're going to take a look at, and it is called Autumn Flannel, and it is an exclusive decoupage paper that was created by ReImagined. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a really cool fall basket. So I pulled a basket that I had from my stash, and the first thing I did was I painted over the image that was in the basket. It was a picture of a boat, and the best thing to do is give decoupage paper a white background, because when you do that, you really allow the design that's on the decoupage paper to show through. So I did 2 coats of that. And then what you're seeing me do right now is I wanted to tone down the color of the basket a little bit. And I wanted to do that by using a little bit of brown wax. And I'm using a chip brush, and I'm just very gently almost feathering the wax over. And this is going to give it more of a brown tint. And I think it's going to really complement that autumn flannel paper much more. So I did that. I let it dry. And then here I am opening the paper. And it's really funny. The paper was sort of that sticker really was sticking, and I couldn't open it. It was kind of funny. I had a little thing with the sticker, but eventually got it open. And I want to point out too that the ReImagined decoupage papers are really big. I don't know the exact dimensions, but you can see from the video that they're quite large and very easily used for 2 or 3 projects. So when I'm done with this tray, I definitely have enough to do another project or 2. So here you see me just measuring how much paper I need to just fit over the insert, or the white spot there. And I wanted to make sure that I measured correctly so I didn't waste any of the paper. Decoupage paper, if you're not familiar with it, is just an awesome way to add interest and to so many different things. You can decoupage on metal, on wood, on glass, and it's just amazing. And there's so many different designs available. This particular uh, design from ReImagined is exclusively available in the Autumn box, but ReImagined has a large line of decoupage paper. I actually am one of her retailers, and I carry her papers in my little boutique and as well as online. So here you just see me fitting the decoupage paper in, make sure I get it the right size before I start adhering it. So this box, the Maker's Box, has 2 papers that are exclusively produced by ReImagined, and this is the Autumn Flannel, and there's another one called Austin Masterboard, and we'll be talking about that in the next project. But here I'm just making sure I have the right measurement, and I'm being just very careful because I want to make sure that I don't cut it too small. And I just want to mention right up front that this is my first YouTube video. So I am having a few technical difficulties, but I'm trying to work through them. So if you just bear with me, I hope to continue to get better as I move forward. So here I am using the decoupage medium, the glue. My preference is Wise Owl varnish, and you want to be very liberal with this. You really want to make sure that when you put the paper down into here as well. So I usually put quite a bit down, and I usually tend to start in the middle or at the top, and I find a spot and then press it down, and then from there just start to work out some of the wrinkles and some of the air. And you'll see me, I spray a little bit of water. Now, the decoupage paper is a really great, it has a nice texture. And if you put some water on it, you actually, it enables the paper to have a little bit of a stretch, which is nice when you're, adhering it to different objects. Okay, so I just went ahead and I varnished that. I got that done. And now I'm working on the second piece of this project, which is these little pumpkins that I got at the dollar store. I had an idea that I wanted to paint the pumpkins white and then do a little bit of a wax technique on them. So I am just putting some clear wax on the pumpkins, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit them with some brown wax. Now, brown wax can be very unforgiving. So the best workaround that when using brown wax is first put a coat of clear on it. It almost acts as an eraser. So if you've done too much of the brown, you can just take a paper towel and wipe it away. This is the final piece, and I thought it came out super cute. I really liked it. Okay, this is a second exclusive paper that is produced by Recycled Decoupage Paper. It's called Autumn Masterboard. And as I said earlier, you get a lot of uh, pieces to work with on each page. So look at all those different designs. So I thought that this was just so pretty, screamed fall. And I had a couple of tins that you'll see in just a bit that I'm going to use as wall art. They were wall art and they had a design on them, but I went ahead and painted them. And I'm going to cut out two of the animals in this design, and I'm going to create some unique wall art. And again, you'll see how much paper I have left over. So this is just a little piece that I'm using on this tin. And like I said, I recycled that. I upcycled it. It was a piece that I had, and there was an old print on it. I can't remember what it was, but I covered it with, again, Wise Owl chalk synthesis paint. It gives me a really nice background, and it ensures that my picture is going to pop. And I thought the deer was so cute. So excited. So many cute options. I love animals. I just love birds and just all of them. So cute. So what I was doing before, that's called wet cutting. So basically, a lot of DIYers that use decoupage paper, we are familiar with the term wet cutting. So basically, you take a small paintbrush and you wet it with water, and you sort of outline the picture that you're trying to cut. And the difference between using scissors and doing this wet cut is that it gives it a much softer edge. And you'll see I've used that several times with several projects through this video. It's just really nice. And the paper, though it is strong, it does tear away pretty well. What I usually do is I just make sure that my hand is on one side of the piece of paper as I'm tearing with the other, so that I'm not ripping the design in any way. And that usually works fantastic. And then again, here I am wetting the paper again. So the reason why you do that with the decoupage paper is that it helps decrease the wrinkles, and it also helps the paper have a little bit more give to it. It's sort of like, I don't even know how to describe it. Sort of like a little bit spongy, that you can pull it a little bit more. And then you saw me use the Wise Owl varnish again. That's my glue of choice. And I did one pretty good coat on the bottom, setting my piece down, my paper down, giving it another spray to get any of those wrinkles out. And then I did one more coat to top coat it. And I'm just showing you the final. What you want to do is you want to let it dry for a day, because you really want it to be dried all the way. Now, the nice thing about decoupage paper is that really you can be so creative. You can, um, cut out different designs from one piece, from and add it to another design from another piece, using different layering techniques. And the tears almost, or the seams almost disappear. So here I'm capitalizing on the fact that I love the edge on this. It's like a little metal frame, and it looks like a bottle cap to me, and it's so fun. So I am just cutting off the excess. I'm using my paintbrush to get into the little creases there, and it was really fun to do. And this piece covers the whole thing. So there was really not much that I needed to add. But on the other one, you'll see the deer didn't cover the whole thing. So I was piecing some other pieces of paper together. The hardest thing really is deciding what works. So here you see me opening the paper, and I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. Um, so the first thing too is I was saving a little piece. When you're working with decoupage paper, you really don't want to throw any of that away, because sometimes the smallest little piece can be the thing that you need to complete your project. So I have a basket of all these miscellaneous decoupage papers that come in handy. So you'll see at the top, the deer is almost complete. I only needed to do a little bit of patchwork on the bottom, but the one lower, there was more that I needed to cover. So I found some pieces that I wanted, and then you see me using the spray that just makes it so easy to lay down, and like I said, stretch out a little bit more. Um, and I try to include this process so you can kind of see um, what you would do to cover it up. So here I'm tearing it, or I'm cutting it, and I'm actually going to go ahead and use those little pieces to give me some coverage on the side of my piece. So again, you're using like every single little scrap. And the nice thing about decoupage paper is, your home accessories and your home decor is very unique. And it's kind of cool that you created it as well. Yeah, so you'll see here I was sort of contemplating on what I wanted to do, what look I was going for. And again, there's no right or wrong here, right? It's just fun. It's just art, crafting, and it's super fun. And like I said, it was really, it was really fun painting in like those little edges. Okay, so I got that all done, and then I felt like it literally needed a little something. And since it had a fall decor, I thought I'd pull out some. I think that's called raffia. It's sort of like straw. And I just tied it in a little bow, and it gave it a little something extra that I was looking for. I thought it turned out pretty cute. Just a little something. And you'll see I was struggling on where to put it. On the first one, it was kind of easy to decide, but that one I wasn't exactly sure, so I kept moving it around, and then finally came up with a good option. But I thought they were just adorable, very unique. Those will go in my booth, and I feel like. And here's the first one. It's finished. I think it's so adorable, so perfect for the fall. And I hung it up in my. Okay, here's the second one. I just love this one. I don't know. I love the face. Super cute. Makes me smile every time I see it. Okay, so here is the first exclusive rice paper that is from the painted photographer from Connie. For those that are not familiar with the painted photographer, she actually hand paints and all of her designs, and she copies them on rice paper and then distributes them. I am a stockist for Connie's papers as well, and she just has beautiful, beautiful prints. But this particular one is exclusive to Sonnet's Maker's Box, and it is called Pumpkin Patch. And as you see, it's nice that it comes in varying sizes. So we have the two sizes to work with. So the first thing I did was cut them up, and I had an idea for the small ones. And I put the larger one aside, and that'll be the next project. But let me talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. So again, I'm doing that wet cutting. So once I did a hard cut with the scissors, I wanted to go back and wet cut it because I'm actually going to be putting it on this little tin. And you'll see that what I've done is I took the colors that were in the pumpkin patch print, and I sort of mixed them all together and came up with a custom color that really complements the picture. And I use that as my back. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to decoupage the print in the front. Here you see that I've done that. um, I've put the rice paper on the tin, and now what I'm doing is I'm working in all the colors, and I'm doing a blend. So I took the orange out and I added white, and here I'm using a brush, a stencil brush, because I wanted to dab it. I was looking for texture. So not only did I want to do a blending of the colors and really make it look awesome against the print, I also wanted it to have some really fun texture. So you just see me working that in. I'm fairly new to blending, but again, it's so fun. I just enjoy it. And when you're at this point in the blending process, you want to have three separate brushes for the three separate colors, or all the colors that you're working with, so that you could just keep adding them. And I was doing the dabbing, like I said, because I was looking for texture, and I really like the way it came out. You'll see here in just a bit. And I do want to mention that I used some paint that I had, and this is, again, the chalk synthesis paint. And any kind of, unless it specifically mentions that you don't have to top coat it, you have to top coat it. So once I was done doing this technique, I did go ahead and put a Wiseau varnish top coat on it. But here I'm showing you the difference between the texture that I was working in versus just that base coat that we started with. And again, this was super fun to make. All right, I am just keep working it in all the different colors. And the thing too is it's nice if you do too much white or if you do too much of another color, you could just or basically erase what you've done and bring back some green or a darker color. I really did like the white undertones though. I thought it just played really nice with the print. Um, so yeah, so Connie from the Painted Photographer, she again is a very talented artist as well as a DIYer. So definitely give her channel a look. I believe she has a channel, but she definitely has socials, and that's the finished product. Showing you all around. And then you'll see there I have the varnish on the counter. I You always just want to make sure you seal it. And I did let this dry a day, just because it was kind of thick with all that the three different layers and the using the stencil brush. So I'd let that dry overnight. This is the next day. I don't know, something about painting. It's so relaxing. I love the brushing. All right, and this is okay. Here is a picture of the finished project. I just love the way these turned out. So cute. All they need is just some Halloween candy. Um, Hope you enjoyed this one. Okay, so here is the larger print from the Painted Photographer, the pumpkin patch. And I thought this was a great print to frame. And I had several of these white frames. They were kind of old. So the first thing I did was I just prepared the frame. Um, just got the backing off. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. So instead of just putting the picture in the frame with the glass on top, I actually decoupaged the frame to the glass, decoupaged the picture to the glass. And I just love that. It just kind of adds a little extra something. So that's what I did. So here you see me cleaning the glass to make sure that all the dust is off of it. And then I went ahead and cut the edges. Now I knew that I was going to be covering the whole piece of glass here, so there was no need to worry about the edges being soft because the edges aren't going to show anyway once they're in the frame. And again, I'm using my glue of choice, which is the Wise Owl varnish. But you can use many different, decoupage mediums, or you know, there's definitely options. Here, I'm just measuring out the exact size that I needed. So I went ahead and just centered it exactly the way I wanted it. So I had the best amount of the pumpkins showing. And then you see me just putting some water on it so that it just sits really nicely. And there's really not many wrinkles to Connie's papers, but it does give me a little bit of the flexibility to sort of stretch it if I needed it. I needed to. And I just put the glass on top of the can here because it was just easier to work with. Just smoothing the print down and making sure that it adheres well. And then I'm just doing a top coat. And that's the next day. It dried really well. And I think I go back in and I just probably do one more coat since, again, it's going to be in the frame. And then I like oftentimes to do a second layer around the edges just to make sure that it's secured and the paper's not going to roll up. Now here you'll see me work on the frame. The frame was a little bit sad looking. So the first thing I did was clean it. And I used a, a product called Green Easy, which is a cleaner degreaser. So I wiped off the frame. And then you'll see too that um, I wind up just, excuse me, I might have not filmed that, but I did sand the corners a little bit just to make sure that it was ready for paint. And here you just see me putting down a couple of coats of the Wise Owl chalk synthesis paint. And I think that color is Snow Owl. And what a difference, right? Just a little bit of paint and it brightens the frame back up. And then I did wanted to add a little bit of interest. So I'm doing that same technique where I'm doing white wax, excuse me, clear wax, and then a dark wax. And as I mentioned earlier, the dark wax, the brown waxes can be unforgiving. So you always want to put a level of clear wax first so that that will enable you to wipe away if you put too much dark wax on it. And I'm using a fan, what's called a fan paintbrush. Again, this just enables me to basically just feather on the smallest little bit of the wax because I didn't want it to be dark. I just wanted a little hint of it. And then you'll see me, I wipe some of that back. And I was really happy the way this looked. Just, you know, a little effort and it makes such a difference and it looks so much better in the print, just winds up looking really nice in it. Awesome. And here I just went ahead and I the glass originally was in that frame with these really old staples, and I didn't have a staple gun that was strong enough to get through that wood, so I went ahead and just secured it with some tape, um, and it was fairly light, so I feel pretty confident that it's good and secure in there. And then you'll see that I wound up doing a brown back just to make it have a finished look. And I used my glue gun to put the brown paper down. You'll see me, I'm just using the tape to help me keep the paper in place while I'm gluing the sides. And it winded up being a really nice finished look. So this glue gun, okay, so this pumpkin looks amazing framed. This is one of my favorite pieces, I have to say. I just love it. Okay, so this is another hand painted design called Autumn Light by the painted photographer Connie. I had an idea when I first saw this that I thought it would be so pretty on a table. And I had a piece of wood that had a stand on it. And I went ahead and did 2 coats of the Wise Owl chalk synthesis paint. So it worked as my background. And then I went ahead and put some varnish down and then just sprayed it a little bit and centered it to the piece of wood. Now this one, I winded up, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I don't know if when I put it down, I didn't center it correctly, or the wood wasn't the size that I needed it to be. Um, Maybe the wood was a little bit too big because the sides didn't disappear the way I thought they would. And you'll see that I actually tried to paint a black frame around it, but I winded up not liking the way that turned out. So then I had another solution, and we'll watch for that. So here I let it dry overnight, and then I came back with a sander and just winded up sanding the edges down. But there was a little bit of white that showed. Again, I thought maybe the wood wasn't the right size that it should have been, but I didn't realize till after I had adhered it. But we worked around it, and it actually turned out really cute. So let's see what I do. So yeah, anytime you are uh, adhering either rice paper or decoupage paper to a piece of wood, after you've let it dry, you want to use the sandpaper in a downward motion just to cut off the excess. So this is what I mentioned earlier. I tried putting a black background around it and thought maybe I'd like the piece a little bit better in the sense that it had a little bit of the white border around it, but I didn't like that. So my second solution was to get some really pretty black velvet ribbon and frame it that way. And actually, I think it turned out really cute. It was a good save. Sometimes you do stuff and you think it's going to work out and it doesn't. And that's okay because it's just, it's just crafting and you can come up with other solutions. So basically, I just took this really pretty ribbon and you'll see I cut the ends in on the diagonal. So I literally can just sort of create a frame. And I thought it came out really pretty. And when I use my glue gun, that particular one gets very hot. So I always use it on the low setting and it works great. I think I've been burned by hot glue too much. So that's why I usually always put it on the low setting. See what a difference that little velvet frame made? It made just the black in the print pop so much. And those are fabric scissors, by the way. Um, those are the only scissors I use to cut ribbon. They work really well. All right, so that's half of it done. What a difference, right? I loved it. And here you just see me. The nice thing about hot glue is that when it dries, it literally just can flake right off. So there you see me just flaking off some of the hot glue, and it didn't, harm the print in any way whatsoever. And again, I'm cutting the edges on the diagonal, and it helped it just fit really nice like a frame. So again, if you have uh, any looking for any information about Sonnet's Maker's Box, it's a monthly subscription, and she calls it Creativity in a Box, I believe. It has papers, and it usually comes with matching paint, so that you really have everything that you need in that box to create some really nice pieces. So definitely go check out her channel and get all the information on her box. These particular items that we use today were in her September box and are exclusive just to the people that receive it. All right, so this is the last side. And like I said, I really love this save. That's the thing when you're doing DIY, you have to be open to, have an idea about something, you think it's going to look great, and then when you do it, it doesn't quite look the way you want it to. But hey, you're able to quickly turn it around. And I love the way it turned out. I think it turned out really well. Okay, here's the final piece. I styled it in my entryway. I love the way it looks. Hi, you stayed to the end. Thank you so much for joining me in my first ever YouTube video. If you like my channel, I invite you to like and subscribe. See you next time.